Why does Judaism have so many rules? Rabbi Bernstein, you go first.
I got this one first. Okay. Why does Judaism have so many rules? The answer in a nutshell is that anything that's important is worth being done just so. If you believe that what you're doing is meaningful, then it has to be done in a specific fashion. Even something as simple as writing an email, if you miswrite the address, it's not going to go anywhere. If you catch the football not past enough yards, you can't start over again. You might lose the game, ultimately just because you missed it by even a few inches. So in a nutshell, the answer is that I think anything that's worth doing should be done properly. On a deeper level, mitzvahs are done for a variety of reasons. Philosophers and scholars have discussed this at length, but in a nutshell, there's, I think, three basic explanations as to why we do mitzvot. The most basic one is it's supposed to be beneficial for us personally. That means that anytime you do a mitzvah, that's supposed to help improve you, your personal life, your family life, the world around you in a way that's helpful to you. And so if you didn't follow exactly the rules and the details, you probably wouldn't be doing anything meaningful. If you talk about self-change, whether it's going on a diet or it's going away from toxic relationships or whatever it might be that you're trying to change, if you don't follow the guidelines that you're offered or that you're instructed with, you're not going to end up in the place that you're trying to get to. On a deeper level, if you're trying to, the Hasidus explains that the purpose of doing a mitzvah is to connect to God. And like in any relationship, if you connect to the person not in a way that they find meaningful, then your connection is not going to be very powerful. So for example, if you make a birthday party for your friend and you invite all the people they don't like, and then you're not sure why they're not happy, and then ultimately it means you didn't really think about that relationship on a deep level. If you buy your wife flowers and she's allergic to the flowers you bought her, so that means you're really thinking about the relationship from your own perspective rather than from her perspective. And so when God asks us to do something, that's an opportunity for us to create a greater relationship with God. And if we don't do it in the way that He wants of us to do it, so then we're not really creating that relationship. What we're really doing is focusing on ourselves rather than focusing on the entity that we want to get closer to.
That's a great
you
answer.
Add on that?
Great answer. I'd just like to add a couple of things. By the way, even if your wife is not allergic to the flowers, but she just doesn't like flowers, it's also, you're not really doing what you want to do, not what she wants to do. It's not creating a relationship. Something I want to add to that, and that is that when we follow God's will, when we do the mitzvah, when we recognize that we're here for a mission, not just to live for our own personal benefit, but we're here to fulfill a mission, what we're doing is actually we're unifying the world. In a way, we're bringing the whole world together. We're bringing the unity of God to the world. We say Hashem Echad, there's only one God, and God really is the source of everything. So the idea of a mitzvah is to bring that concept into the world, that everything in the world should be used for a higher purpose. Now, so God is one, God is unity. The world is all about details. The world is myriad of details in the world. So you have from the Creator, who is one, who created myriads of details, and the idea is to bring the two together, to bring godliness to the world. So the whole idea of affecting the world and raising the world means we've got to deal with details, because the world is about details. So we're trying to take, maybe this is a little complicated when I'm explaining it, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to take a world full of details and unify it in a unified purpose, which is to make the world connect the world to God, to make the world a home for God, and to live our mission, which is to bring godliness to the world. So therefore, if we're going to affect every part of the world, then there's 1,000 details that we have to deal with. And that's why the mitzvot are so intricate. That's why there's so many rules, because the mitzvot should affect every part of the world and every detail. Now, there's two ways to approach Torah. One way is, wow, look at all those rules. I'll give you an example for Shabbat. There are books and books and books written about the laws of Shabbat, and most of them tell you what you're not allowed to do. So if you approach Shabbat as something you're not allowed to do with all those rules, oh my goodness, how can I do this, all these rules? But if you look at it differently, if you look at Shabbat as a day of rest from the physical things that make the world go, and it's a day of spiritual revitalization. It's almost like recharging your battery. So if I use my cell phone all day, and I know I need to use it for 6 hours all day, otherwise I won't be able to call wherever I have to call at the end of the day, I plug it in to charge it. I know it takes 20 minutes or half an hour to charge. During that half hour to charge, I want it to charge 100%, because if I use the phone, let's say I make a call while it's charging, it's not going to charge fully, and I won't have it later when I need it. In a way, it's the same thing. Spiritually, we're recharged on Shabbat. And therefore, we want to kind of get off the grid and not be involved in the day-to-day practice of transforming the world, which is what we're doing all week. So if on Shabbat we're doing weekday things, we're not getting that full charge. So Shabbat is a day of study, it's a day of prayer. And if you think of it that way, you think of a day when our soul is getting tremendous joy and benefit from connecting spiritually, it's a day when I don't even want to do all that stuff. It's not a question of, oh my goodness, I got all these rules. It's just, I don't want to be involved in the physical practice of keeping the world going. I do that for 6 days. One day I want to rest. You know, nowadays a lot of people talk about unplugging, you know, the Sabbath, what they call it, electronic Sabbath or something like that. Because they feel the need they recognize the need. This is what Shabbat is. So again, it's not all about, yes, there's many, many rules, but all the rules are there. The attitude that I have is that this is for a higher purpose. I'm living for a higher purpose, trying to find meaning in everything I'm doing. In order to do that, I want to live the way God has told us, which brings us tremendous satisfaction, brings the world, as you said, elevates the world, and ultimately will bring the world to a much higher spiritual place.